illegal immigration on black wage and employment levels. And the evidence that we gathered shows that unequivocally the wage and employment levels of black Americans are disproportionately adversely affected by illegal immigration, particularly when it pertains to the effect on black males. It should be noted, I think, that the witnesses that appear before the commission were experts and scholars on immigration that spanned the ideological spectrum. And while they may have disagreed with respect to policy and maybe matters of degree, every single witness before the commission agreed that illegal immigration has a decidedly negative impact on the wage and employment levels of black Americans, particularly black males. And the evidence shows that the reason for this is actually pretty maybe matters of degree. Every single witness before the commission agreed that illegal immigration has a decidedly negative impact on the wage and employment levels of black Americans, particularly black males. Ideological spectrum. And while they may have disagreed with respect to policy and maybe matters of degree, every single witness before the commission agreed that illegal immigration has a decidedly negative impact on the wage and employment levels of black Americans, particularly black males. And the evidence shows that the reason for this is actually pretty basic. Black Americans, especially black males, are disproportionately concentrated in the low-skill labor market and are disproportionately more likely to have no more than a high school diploma. Likewise, illegal immigrants, disproportionately concentrated in the low-skilled labor market, disproportionately more likely to have low levels of academic achievement, and these two groups compete with one another in the low-skilled labor market.
You have to educate yourself about that. What is happening with the Trump campaign, and they have admitted it, is that they need African-American votes to win.
Who admitted it?
To win for them.
They admitted it.
So what they're doing is trying to pit African-Americans against Hispanics or against immigrants by saying that immigrants are taking your jobs. They're trying to appeal to African-American men, I should say, men. They know that they cannot get the women, so they're not targeting African-American women. They're targeting black men. Immigrants are taking your jobs, and don't you want the money because you need to build wealth and blah, 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 blah. So there is...
Raided last week by immigration officials is now looking for workers. Nearly 700 people were arrested in those raids. Some of them worked at plants operated by Cook Foods. Today, Cook held a job fair in the town of Forest, Mississippi. NPR's Debbie Elliott was there and sends this report.
Early morning, it seemed as if members of the media outnumbered job applicants at the Wynn Job Center.
Oh, no media.
No media.
No media.
Yeah.
No media. Okay.
A security guard turned reporters away as a steady stream of people went inside to put in an application. Amanda Steele of Morton got here early before the doors opened.
Well, and I need a job, and I heard they might be doing some hiring, and me and my daughter come here Friday, and we did the application, and we seen the sign that said that we're going to have the job fair, and we come on out this morning. We got up at 6 o'clock this morning, ready to go. Hopefully we walk out here with some good news with a job.
Steele and other applicants say they had to provide 2 forms of identification, including a Social Security card. She has mixed feelings about the ICE raids that separated some families.
Yeah, I feel bad for the little kids, too. Their mom and dad's out of a job, but I've been out of a job, too,
A little over 100 people had put in applications by mid-morning, according to Mississippi Department of Employment Security spokeswoman Diane Bell.
This is actually business as usual for us. We do not have a multitude of people coming in.
The Wynn Job Center is a centralized job search location, and Bell says it's typical for the agency to host job fairs and collect applications for companies. Bell says Cook Foods asked for this job fair last Wednesday, the day of the raids. She does not know how many workers Cook needs, and no one from the company was at the job fair site. Cook's chicken processing plant in Morton, Mississippi, employs more than 1,000 people at peak production. In a statement, Cook said it does not yet know how many workers were arrested and said the raid resulted in a significant disruption of work. Morton Mayor Gerald Keaton hopes Cook can find the workers it needs to stay in business.
Cook's Food is the largest employer in our city, and they attribute to approximately 45% of our total revenue in our city. So, if they are not here, we're in trouble.
22-year-old Camario Whitley came from Lake, Mississippi to apply. He says he used to work at the plant.
I want to do my old job, hanging birds, rehang cold birds.
Whitley says there's a misconception that only people here illegally want the poultry jobs.
They won't complain about the job as much as everybody else, but I believe all of the jobs in these chicken plants are fairly easy.
He sees the ICE raids as an opportunity. So does Rodney Reed of Forest.
Well, I'm currently employed right now at a lumber mill, but it just don't cut it. It just don't pay. And these chicken plants pay twice what I'm getting paid now, so I'm trying to shoot for better.
Workers there can make upwards of $10 an hour.
A lot of these people right here need these jobs. You know, if they over here illegally, I mean, it's rough out here. They come over here and so, I mean, it's hard to beat them out. They're going to work cheaper. You know what I'm saying? Used to, you come down here and put these applications in, you're wasting your time.
Reed says he actually feels confident about getting a job this time. Debbie Elliott, NPR News, Forest, Mississippi.
Ah, boy. Where should we begin here? So, Moist Ass Don Lennon did his segment with Fredo over here. And this the guy, fake COVID dude over here. And they were responding to the Ice Cube situation. And everything that was said in the segment was bullshit and lies. They started off with he attacked or did, he did the same thing that everybody on MSNBC did. He referred to ADOS as bots in Russia and all that stuff. That still is going on in 2020. They're still doing the Russia hoax bot thing that, Russia spent $125,000 in ads on Facebook, and they're crying about that influenced black people's votes. So basically, they're saying that black people are stupid and they fell for ads. Even though many of the arguments that we were having about Hillary Clinton, super predators, the Clintons Foundation, and what they did in Haiti, all those things that we've been saying for years in conversations online, that's exactly what the Russia bots did, allegedly. The same things that we already were saying amongst ourselves. And Malcolm Nancy even said it, the spook who sat by the Democrats' door. He said the same dumb shit that John Lennon said. He'd be in a barbershop and I'd be hearing, painting black men as these sexist, misogynist, and all other nonsense, right? There's no other group more matriarchal than black American men. So the argument that we're sexist and misogynist it's amazing to me. It's mind-boggling. But he attacked ADOS. As I said before several times, I agree with the specificity being made, pointing out the difference between get rid of the people of color, which Ice Cube gladly did when he did go on Chris Cuomo, even though Chris Cuomo kept responding with people of color. Like, it's weird. You say black specifically, and they always respond with you with people of color. They cannot say black. For whatever reason, it's like a battery charge in the back of their neck. They can't say that shit. But Don Lennon himself made an argument on his show, arguing with April Ryan. I almost said Amber Phillips. That's another annoying dap. But he argued and made the point of saying that there's nothing wrong with pointing out the specifics of who people are. And he said, like, yo, it's nothing wrong with saying that Kamala Harris is not an ADOS. That's not what he said, but she's something different. In this segment, he goes and says, well, you shouldn't be specific. You shouldn't point out that the issues and the problems that we have here should be a global thing, and everybody should be included in Black America, not if you were born here or not. Which, if you're having conversations about reparations, that doesn't make any sense. So on one hand, he starts the whole Kamala Harris is not a Black American; she's something different. No one called him a birther and all that other stuff. Don Jr. makes the same point a couple weeks later. They're all talking about birtherism all over again. This is like the inconsistency, the lies. Like, it's crazy. I don't understand how black men can operate in this space. They constantly shit on you. Black women are constantly writing articles and think pieces talking about what you're doing, how you voting that way. We the only group of men that get publicly chastised by gay black men, as you see in front of Don Lennon, and black women. We're the only group of men. When Hillary lost the female vote, they blame white men for the women not voting for her, as if the husbands were peeking around the corner, looking in that booth while she pulled that lever, right? Let Hispanic men have a greater chance of voting for Trump in higher numbers than black men. Their women ain't on TV shitting on them, writing think pieces and articles on Telemundo talking about, you know, even their liberal feminist versions of their women. They not on TV doing that yet. Ours are. Only group of men, the gynocracy is real, who, everything we do, we have to include women. We have to bring them. Um, we deflect by. I seen the comment on Dr. Cleo Malayo's page talking about Ice Cube. He ignored the black women who were on the ground. Where are the black women on the ground talking about tangibles that are bipartisan, that are bipartisan? Everything that black women are doing in activism is one-sided and it's on the left and it's with Democrats. Period. There's not too many brothers, too many women who are operating that way. Show me if I'm wrong. Show me the black female celebrity that's not. I gave respect to Ava DuVernay last time around, which I did not like that Nate Parker endorsed Hillary Clinton when he was going through his Me Too situation from a crime that he got acquitted of 17 years prior. The one thing I did not like when he was promoting his movie is he did endorse Hillary. Ava DuVernay at the time, although she's changed her mind this time, she was like, I don't know, right? And that was the backdrop of her own 13 documentary, which I want to question, did she watch that shit? Because the stuff she's saying now, as far as voting for Biden, is like, well, wait a minute. You did the documentary on the Clintons and Democrats and what went on in Congress and how it hurt black people, but now you Team Joe. But she wasn't Team Crooked Hillary, and she was saying, I don't know, I'm undecided, when she did the interview on Hot 97. And I respected that. And I can respect that. But we're not in that space anymore right now. But I'm saying there are no women activists on the ground who are, you know what, I'm going to go here and I'm going to go there, and whoever has the best, I'm going to take the deal with whoever has the best deal. It's not like that. It's, we're going to go here to the Democrats, and even if they don't give us nothing, we just want Trump out of office. That's what I'm saying for most women, period. So another thing that Don Lennon said that was a lie was that Republicans are putting black men and black women against us. Hello, have I come to YouTube, my guy? There's been this pseudo gender war for the last decade on here. Black women and black women don't agree on a lot of things. Black men and black women have different views on a lot of issues. And that's not even by far, because again, you still gonna get 85 to 80% of the black men who stand on that Democrat plantation. Yeah, and I say it that way because of all this backdraft, all the pushback that you're seeing that Cuba's getting when other contemporaries will come out and attack you publicly, people you broke bread with and work with. It's crazy. Never Trump Republicans and all that. They can go freely and do what they want, and they gone. A black person who wants to be not even go to the other side, like that's the thing. You don't even gotta go to the other side. Just being neutral and independent, which I think most black people should be, because we don't have anything to lose, and we have everything to gain by being in the middle and not picking a side. No permanent friends, no permanent enemies, just interests. And that looks different for each state and different for each community and people family structures. Whatever works for you, do what's best for your community. But there has always been a gap between black men and black women in politics. There's always been black women giving that 95, black men giving that 80 to 85. That 10 to 15 point gap has always been there from every election I've been able to participate in voting. So that's nothing new. But for Don Lennon to frame it in a way saying, well, the Republican Party is trying to get black, because they can't get black women. What does that tell you? That they can't get them. That they're not leaving the Democratic Party. That they can't be influenced to think outside the box. Oh, what are you going to do as a black man if you're trying to work with somebody that doesn't even want to hear you out? They said that Joanne Reed condemned Ice Cube and rebuked him. Like, again, we're all the white women and Latino women and Asian women publicly on television using their platforms to condemn, to berate, and yell at their men for the way that they choose to vote. It doesn't happen. We're the only group of men. And yet, even though we're the only group of men in that situation, we still get framed as being these sexist, misogynist. We don't want to support the woman. How you gonna not support the cop, Kamala Harris, the top cop, who has AG carried on and carried out the very same laws that your creepy Uncle Joe put in place? Y'all still defending. Joe Biden finally came out and said, all right, there were mistakes in the crime bill after defending it for the last 20, 30 years. And then I seen it on Hot 97, they're still trying to deflect by saying, well, everybody supported the preachers. Like, no, they did not. They wanted real change. They came with a plan and the idea. They didn't write the bill. They supported certain things that were in it. They did not support if you go to jail and you come out, you can't get federal funding. They did not support if you go to jail, you can't live in public housing anymore. Those things were not what they wanted. They wanted actual money and resources to help the community, and that's not what they got. Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton both at that time were against the crime bill. Jesse Jackson said it was poison laced with cyanide. He said that no Republican could ever get this done. He pointed out how stupid black people were, that we would support this policy through a Democratic president, but we would have never let it go if Ronald Reagan did it or if Bush Daddy did it. But yeah, this segment was trash, man. It's like they're still doing it, and I just don't. Talking to politics with black men is difficult as it is. Not even the young ones, the old ones too. It's just too much fucking emotion in it. It's no logic or reason. I just don't get that. Like, I just be listening and I'd be like, well, that. And then the thing is too, as soon as when you point out something that didn't happen, like, that's how you know black men are too emotional when it comes to politics. It's like, you'll say, that didn't happen. This is what really happened. You break it down because you study, you look at both sides. You're not just one sided in the critiques and the arguments. You listen to everything, you hear all the data, and you come with your own informed opinion. And when you point out the facts, that's just an automatically assumption that you support this candidate, that candidate. I don't know how many times Boyce Watkins says he don't support either candidate. The first comment, it'll usually be from a black man, is, well, what about him? And does that mean you're going to vote for them? He said like 100 times he's not voting for either one of them, and he believes in being independent. But you take that as supporting Trump. Someone else said something. A woman on the dude that Boyce debated recently, Antoine, the basketball player. Someone in his comment was going to say the reason why Democrats didn't want to meet with Ice Cube is because he told them to hold their vote. Now, they keep saying that, but he did not just say that. He said, hold your vote until you get something for it. That's the part that they keep forgetting and don't want to mention. And I see a lot of black women keep saying that, but they won't finish the sentence because they don't care if they don't get anything. This is emotional for them. This is not about policy, anything that's going to benefit you with tangibles. To them, it's just, I don't like what's in the White House. I want him out. And I don't care if we don't get nothing. I don't care if we get ignored. What's wrong with black people looking at the black people have had the most leverage they've ever had in the last two elections, and they just pissed it away. They didn't do nothing with it at all. Like, when the census come out and the demographics change, a lot y'all be black and brown in it. A lot of these districts are turning more brown, and they're gonna take the little political capital you did have left. It's gonna be gone. Latinos are gonna get it. Like, everything is shifting and changing. Y'all getting kicked out of all the major cities: New York, Chicago, California, the states, Illinois. Black people are migrating to the South. They're migrating to red states, ironically. So what is it about the policies up north? All these democratic policies that y'all want to support and vote for, that raise the shit out of y'all taxes. You had a bunch of black preachers who don't pay taxes in Chicago, pushing a fair tax by a governor who's a billionaire who's using his own money to push it. Come on, son. These fools don't pay taxes, but they're trying to get the black community who are already overtaxed in Chicago. It'll be a statewide thing, but I'm saying in Chicago, y'all get text, Netflix, every single thing that's out there. They try to get y'all a tax on pop. Y'all was running down to Indiana to buy pop because it costs too much to buy it in your own damn city. Like, it's crazy. And I could respect all these, people who Orange Man bad all day, every day. I could respect them if you kept that same energy at the local level. If you called out your local Democratic politicians and mayors and council people, Lori Lightfoot is doing shitty as hell in Chicago. And it's still Black Girl Magic. Even though her community, her base is not black people, it was always the LGBT white rich community. That's who backed her. That's who got her picked. A million people ran for mayor in Chicago, and she got in only because the field was diluted with so many different candidates. It was 16 candidates, and that's how she won. It was some divide and conquer stuff in their politics, and it's still people out there talking about Black Girl Magic with her, even though when the riots and the looting was happening in Chicago, she let the gang members of Pookies and Red Bay police your neighborhood, and then she had this police protect downtown where all the white areas are at. She did that shit, and yet, yeah, I don't see the public outcry about that. I don't see the same response when what happens in those local situations are more important than what happens at the federal level. So again, I could respect it if you kept that energy. If you were calling out Keisha Big Bombs in Atlanta, who's carrying on the same gentrification that was happening by her predecessor, which she would not call out. But I watch every person on Black YouTube. I watch Start Crying talking about we got to keep Atlanta chocolate. We got to keep a black woman and let's hold her accountable. Well, she won. She's there, and the gentrification is continuing to happen. It's getting worse. And now white people walking around your neighborhoods letting their dog shit on your campuses, and they're not picking it up. Right? There's no accountability at the local. I keep saying, let's get him in. Joe Biden is only going to be a one-term president if he even gets past the first year in his own term if he wins. Okay? How you going to hold somebody that's a one-term president? The whole point of holding somebody accountable is, well, if you don't do what we said in 4 years, we're not going to vote for you the next 4 years. Joe Biden don't want another 4 years. He's not going to make it past the first year if he even get in. So how do you hold him accountable? Like, what do you have to hold against him? What resources can you deny? When Obama wasn't moving fast enough on LBGT marriage, the gay people said, "We're gonna take our bread back, and we ain't gonna support your candidacy. Be patient with me." He told y'all niggas to put on your marching shoes and go out there and march. But he told the gay community. I did a video on my other channel to the year to the date showing you the differences between Obama talking to the gay community and a fundraiser and a dinner, and Obama at the CBC talking to black people. The contrast is amazing. But that's what happens when you have resources and money and you can talk to presidents a certain way. They ask you to be patient with them and relax. I got you. Even when Michelle was at a speech and some transgender person yelled out in the crowd, like, "No, motherfucker." That person yelled out at one of her speeches, and the whole premise was, "Well, we'll get to you. Just give us time. We'll get to you." And they did. They did what Obama promised in his second term. He did that shit, and they gave him more money, and that's how politics works. We don't have that type of power. We don't have that type of sway, and the only leverage you do have is saying, "Well, wait a minute. If you don't do X, Y, Z, I'm not gonna vote for you, or I'm gonna just sit out." It ain't like I'm gonna go run to the other party. We just not gonna vote. And for whatever reason, that little bit of leverage you got, that little place you can make some demands, the I call them talentless tenth niggas. All these people on CNN and Roland Martin and uh, all this bourgeoisie black people class, they're offended, they're hurt that you're out there thinking for yourself and willing to negotiate on your own behalf because they're not doing it. They're cool with their little kickbacks, their little jobs, their little reporting in their news. You know what I mean? They're good with that. They're good with seeing, the AKA in the White House. That's enough for them. That symbolism is good for them. They don't want the substance. And I think that we have to really point that out. Like, a lot of these rich people who will come out and endorse these candidates, they don't care either way. Yeah, they might like to not pay more in taxes, but other than that, they don't care about the situation. How many Shaq came out, Snoop, these motherfuckers is 50 years old and they talking about voting for the first time, and yet you let them influence you on politics. How, Sway? They don't care. They're above all that. This is not an issue for them. But they get that tap on that shoulder when they get in trouble, and the Democratic Party say, "You know what? You do this, we'll forgive you." You got people freestyling for Joe Biden's camp, and that's all Nick Cannon's fault. Nick Cannon messed up the money by messing with them three-letter alphabet people, and now he out here. He got Charlie Clips, and them dudes from Wildin' Out getting that back from the DNC, and it's just cringeworthy to see. It's just horrible. But yeah, everything that was said in the segment is trash. It's garbage. It's not true. And we have the receipts. We saw Don Lennon argue with April Ryan about the distinction being made. Again, I don't bang with Yvette Cornell or Antonio Moore's politics at all. But I do respect the specificity of pointing out who ADOS is and why we're different. And why, unlike what Don Lennon said, you can't just count everybody together because that's not a reflection of everybody. When you count the incomes and the wealth that Nigerians have and other groups have, it does not match ours. It messes up our numbers. So there, you should be specific when you're dealing with resources and policies because they don't need it. We do, as a collective. And again, I just don't understand. Like these, these people are lying and setting black people up for failure, and they're not gonna do anything about it when black people stuck at that permanent underclass situation. They're good. You got a bunch of elite white and black liberals who are above all this, trying to tell poor people what they're supposed to do and how they should do politics. That shit don't make no sense to me. And y'all eat it up, and y'all listen to him, and y'all let him get away with it. Don Lennon should be called out for everything he said in this segment because it was all lies. And then Chris Cuomo co-signing this shit because that's his black friend who's telling him, like, no, there's some nuance to this. There's not the way you said it was supposed to be. There's a gender war between black men and black women that have anything to do with politics. But yes, you will see it come out in politics. But not that much, though. Again, 80% of black men are still going to be voting for Democrats. That's what I don't understand. I don't understand how black men can continue to go on this path. When they don't, they undermine you. They don't acknowledge you. They don't pay attention to you. When you do want to say, do something different or be independent, again, Charlamagne said, I'm independent one time on the Breakfast Club. Angela Rye told me he was not. And that's what it looks like black men are. They this list that gynocracy is real. They're even throwing in this protect black women rhetoric into it. So now you got to support Kamala's ticket because she's half Indian. Like I just don't get us, man. You saw the dude on Roller Martin, the dude look like Hitler. Black men gonna come out and support and break the records and come out and support. No, we not. We better not. If we do, that just like man, the matriarchy is real. The black community would never get changed. When and again, I don't like entertainers in situations being involved in this, but I can respect if you are coming from an independent point of view. Like Diddy dumbass, he gonna come out and say, I'm starting my own party. We need both parties, but we got to get Trump out of here. You've already fucked up right there. Like you should be neutral if you're trying to start a party and do what Ice Cube is doing, giving your plan to both parties, and whoever come back with the best deal, then you go for it. That's how you're supposed to do it. But coming out, well, I told people to hold the vote, but now I'm changing my mind. Even though I used to party and hang out with Trump all the time, and he was the antithesis of success in Hollywood and in the music industry. I went to his wedding and whatnot, but now we got to get him out of office. But now I'm a broken buck, and I got enough criticism from people that I must flip the script. Anybody who takes Diddy's political party serious is an idiot. I agree. Ice Cube or Roland Martin, that shit was embarrassing. He was not articulate. He couldn't talk. I get it. He's going to a hostile environment and whatever, but that wasn't a good look. He should have brought people on him to speak that knows what they're talking about. He was better on Chris Cuomo, and he's better in Dr. Boyce Watkins' situation, but on Roland Martin, that's not a good look, and they're all using that against him to say, why is he in this position? Why is he talking about policy and politics? Again, his plan might be perfect, and on paper, it might be articulate, but he isn't doing justice enough to point his view across. But again, I still respect that he's showing that black men can be independent, which a lot of us really are. They only vote the way they vote because they're bitch asses who let the women in their community tell them this is what you're supposed to vote. That's just my video. Check out that Chris Cuomo segment with Moist Ass Don Lennon and point out like how can they get away with lying? Everything in that segment is a lie that he said. Like all of it. Attacked ADOS, attacked black men. Black women, they can't get black women. He got 4% of black women. No, he's not going to get they're women. They like socialism. They like redistribution of wealth. They like other people taking care of them. Whatever. Again, they think the Democrats are going to offer that. But I would ask you, where do you see that at, though? Like, when you hear people say things like, I want the poor white people to vote with us because the policies over here are better and they work for you and this and that. But then my response to that is, well, what policy can you, being at the bottom of the barrel, can tell a poor white person who whiteness can get them out of the bottom of that barrel without even using politics? What policies can you say have worked for you and your community that help you achieve and get to where you need to be, that I should come join you? And they have nothing to respond with that. I'm out.
It is enough that she's a black woman.
We are not a monolith.
But no, 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 no,
exactly.
no, 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 no,
But
no.
they did the same
no,
thing to
no,
Ted
no,
Cruz. They
no,
didn't do,
no. I think
Ted
you.
Cruz
I think
like
you're
that.
not. You're not
Go
hearing
ahead.
what people are saying. The people who are saying is she black enough? That's bull. That's BS. But to want a distinction to say is she African American, or is she black, or is she whatever. There is nothing wrong with that. There is a difference between being African American and being black. People Latino people are people Latino people are people of color. People Latino people are people of color, but they're not black. They're brown people.
She is a woman of color, but she is a black woman.
Okay, that's why I agree with that.
I
agree with that. But is she African American? No. But is she African American? There's a difference. There's nothing wrong with that. No one is trying to take anything away from her.
Let's go down into her lineage.
I think you're falling. I think you're falling into the trap of that. All she had to do was say, "I am black, but I'm not African American." That's it.
Let me say this. I'm not falling in a trap. I'm not falling in. Let me finish. Hold on. I'm not falling into a trap by that. When she goes down her lineage, many Africans landed in Jamaica and all these other Caribbean islands. So she could indeed
Jamaica's
be
not America.
African American mixed with other races. But she is
Jamaica's not America.
But she is a black woman. She was
Jamaica
born
did not
here.
Come out of Jim Crow.
Okay, well let's go
saying.
into Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz was born in Canada.
I'm not talking about Ted Cruz.
His father
This is
was
not
Cuban.
about Ted Cruz. You're changing
the
subject.
But you know what? Exactly.
No.
Problem with that. I understand what he's saying about black people and about descendants of slaves. Again, be careful who you align yourself with, because this ADOS, African descendants of slaves, a lot of Russian bots, a lot of bots online targeting, doing the dirty work of Russia for that. And to discriminate, I think, again, it's okay to point out that you're a descendant of slave. Don't get me wrong. That's fine. And some people are not. And that doesn't make one person less or more black than another person. But to discriminate against someone to say, well, we just want this because we are black in this way, I think is discriminatory, because people of color, there's power in numbers. It should be, there's nothing wrong with having a plan for black America and not just black Americans who are descendants of slaves, because this country, when someone sees me on the street